Manasi Phadnis, your moderator for this session. I think it's such an apt topic, right? Against all odds, because I think each and every one of you sitting here has actually carved out your stories against all odds. So, Nitin, starting with you, your journey from startup to where off business is today is nothing short of, if I may say so, a zero to hero story. So, from a banker to an entrepreneur who is changing the face of SMEs in India, tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so I was a banker in London for about 7 odd years, and in the last year when I was in London, I used to wake up and really think that am I really making an impact, and the answer was really no. And I was constantly on the lookout for sectors where I can really make a big impact, and one sector that stood out was the SMEs of India, and so I started researching about them, and I came to a conclusion that listen, B2C से ज़्यादा B2B के अंदर impact बनाना बहुत ज़रूरी है इंडिया के अंदर, because they are the backbone of India's economy. So 2015 I came back lock stock barrel to India, started this company with 4 other friends of mine, not friends but acquaintances at that point of time. Now we are closer to each other than our own family. So it was 2015 when we started this journey, and it's been about 8.5 years since.
And Nitin, how would you say has your international experience helped you in building a solid business in India?
Actually, it's not helped at all, to be very honest with you. For the first 6 to 9 months that I was in India, I was very lost. So I think the way of doing business in India is completely different from way of doing business outside. Absolutely. So I had to relearn everything. I had to unlearn and relearn everything the first 6 to 9 months in India. And I was feeling very, very lost कि मैंने सही किया है कि नहीं किया है. When you in India, when you go to small businesses and you speak to them, it's very difficult to actually converse in a very straight-line manner, right? Because they also take a roundabout manner in conversing with you. So it becomes very important for you to converse in the same manner. It's very difficult. You can't take them on face value, neither can they take you on face value. So it has to be a completely different type of conversation and communication that you have with them.
And going back, what would you say was the defining moment for this decision?
For coming back to India?
Yes.
Yeah, the defining moment was how many people am I impacting on a daily basis, right? And so while I was in banking, we had a set of 50, 100 clients, and that's it. We were just working for them day in, day out, and we were making our money from them, and we were making the rich richer. But the defining moment was that I wanted to make an impact on thousands of businesses, maybe lakhs of businesses, maybe millions of businesses. And that opportunity was definitely not going to come true in banking. Right? In banking, you have to think in a straight line. You have to be within the gamut of the law, and there's no space for real innovation, right? Especially when you're in trading and structuring, there's no space for innovation. So I wanted to just have a large canvas and be able to paint anything that I want. Right. So I love doing things from 0 to 1. So I've incubated about 5 odd businesses at Off Business, from 0 to 1, taking them to a decent level. I love doing that, and to be able to do that in banking is virtually impossible.
Right, and you have made quite an impact since then, I must say that. So, moving on to you, Sandip. Your story of rise and success in the e-commerce landscape are remarkable. You were also recognized as one of the top 100 great people managers as part of the prestigious Great People Manager Study of 2023. So congratulations on that. And that has been quite a testament to your exceptional leadership skills and people management qualities. Now, could you share a defining moment that captures the essence of your journey?
Nisha, first of all, thanks for inviting me in this event. There are many, because I've been working in this SME space for almost 21 years. In fact, I say that my journey has been a fairy tale, because I joined this company, and it's very, very defining. It doesn't happen to everybody, because I joined this company as a data entry operator 21 years back, and today, in fact, in 2019. 30th March, that's my birthday. In fact, I was promoted as CEO of the company. and then pandemic happened. So, you become the CEO and you don't have any clue what to do next. Not only me, the whole entire country, world had no clue what is happening and what will happen going forward. And we were working with SMEs, and SMEs were one of the worst impacted in the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We went back to all these enterprise, mid-sized companies to say, hey, we will help you to, and we were rejected every time. A lot of sad setbacks there. We came back, and with every setback, we thought that we took this as an opportunity to learn, iterate, and look at what can be the strategy to go back and help these SMEs. Because our vision as a company is how we can make this 63 million SMEs in India digitally saksham. That's the vision, right? With that vision, digitally saksham as a vision, we started connecting with all the SMEs, educating them during the pandemic. I'm talking about, because this was a turning point to me. The whole team, entire team in 41 cities in India started helping SMEs how to use video calls. Just man, this is a very small thing because business was not happening offline, right? So can we educate them how to do business online? How to connect with customers online, how to interact with this, the buyers online, right? Once it's able to do that, slowly and gradually, we saw a lot of traction on the platform. We grew. In fact, 2019 we were sitting at almost 4.5 million SMBs. Today, as we speak, we have more than 10 million SMBs on that platform. So we grew almost double, within 4 years' time.
Wonderful.
And not only that, we became one of the most profitable company. Yeah, during this pandemic, it was a blessing and disguise for us. Not only profitable in terms of revenue, but in terms of credibility as well. And what helped us to learn in this aspect was, it was really a pivotal moment for the company, but also helped us to believe in that value of perseverance and resilience, in such adverse, city. So these have been a learning, in fact, and we are growing healthy, from there on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sandip. Coming to you, Venkat, your work at Practus positions the company as a disruptor, challenging traditional norms in the sector. And your journey has involved helping numerous clients pivot and succeed. So, can you walk us through any particular client experience that left a lasting impact on you and the lessons that you learned from it?
Sure. So I'll possibly come to our own disrupting journey first. So about 15 years back, when we started a company with the name of My CFO, we subsequently got rebranded to Practus. The need that we saw in the market is that entrepreneurs have got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, but that passion may not necessarily be kind of channelized in a very professional or in the right way. And we said, look, what can we do to help entrepreneurs scale up, but do that in a more predictable way, do it in a more sustainable way. I personally believe that if there was some kind of a device or a thermometer that can measure the intensity of passion, I don't think there will be any difference in, say, the intensity of a Narayan Murthy or a Narayan Mahindra or any of the entrepreneurs in the room, right? I mean, maybe they want to go from 1 lakh crore to 10 lakh crore. Maybe some entrepreneur here wants to go from 20 crore to 2,000 crore, right? But the intensity is there. The question is that what are the mechanisms or the ecosystem or the means that are available to these entrepreneurs to be able to achieve these dreams, right? So we said, look, can we, and I think there is a question the gentleman asked, as a CA, what can we do? So that's the same question we asked ourselves 15 years back. And we said, look, just like how every large company has got a good quality professional CFO, every single entrepreneur in this country deserves a CFO as well. So we came up with the concept of a fractional CFO, right? And when we started, our target was to go and meet 1,000 entrepreneurs in the first year, and we actually met 1,000 entrepreneurs, just to kind of go and figure out what their pain point was and try and come up with a solution on a fractional basis that can help address those pain points, right? So the vision that we had and we continue to have in this country is that it should be possible for somebody to dial a CFO, right? So you got 100 for police, 101 for ambulance, 102 for fire or whatever. Maybe there will be a number called 200 you can call a CFO, right? It should be as mainstream as that. 150 years back, there was nothing called chartered accountants, right? Today, can you imagine a world without CA? It has become so ultra specialized. You've got auditors, you've got taxation guys, you've got due diligence guys, forensic guys. So some guy decided to coin a name called chartered accountant 150 years back. Today it has become mainstream. So what we are trying to do is to say, look, can you have a fractional CFO service? We birthed the idea 10 years, 15 years back. I think in the next 10 years, 15 years, it will be completely mainstream. Right? So that has been our story of disruption.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you had to go back in time and talk about your one defining moment to set up Practus, what would that be?
So I was a CFO of a multinational company. I used to work for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then I was CFO for a company called Aon. It's a Fortune 100 company. I like to meet people, and when I used to meet with entrepreneurs, I found that the types of problems that they were looking to solve were exactly the same as what the multinationals in the country were looking to solve, right? But they don't have the means, they don't have the budgets, they don't sometimes even not have the vision, and most of all, I think they lack the articulation to be able to say exactly what their problem is, right? So it's like coming to a doctor, but not being able to explain what exactly you're kind of going through, right? And that's where it becomes a job of a professional like us to be able to diagnose the patient and help them understand what exactly they require, right? So to me, I don't think there is a single turning point. I think, as I said, it was these conversations with 1,000 entrepreneurs, and when we did those conversations, we found that every single person pretty much had the same pain point, right? So it was pretty evident that there is a crying need to kind of build a solution to address that pain point.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Shachindra, your journey from the inception of YourStory Capital to steering it into a successful financial enterprise, it's not just inspirational, it's actually a testament to your leadership. YourStory Capital has also played a pivotal role in transforming the financial landscape for MSMEs. Now, reflecting on your journey, can you share any specific pivotal moment that vividly captures the sense of your path to success?
बहुत ही कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन है। पहली बात तो मेरा हिंदी में इमोशन ज़्यादा अच्छा आता है।
हाँ, हम हिंदी में बात करेंगे। हाँ।
तो पहले इस रूम में हम सबसे बड़े एसएमई हैं, बिकॉज 7 करोड़ की मेरी पर्सनल नेटवर्क पे 1000 करोड़ की कैपिटल रेज करके आज 9000 करोड़ का बिजनेस हमने बिल्ड किया है, एंड टेक्निकली वी आर इंडियाज फर्स्ट लिस्टेड स्टार्टअप। सेकेंड, इफ यू लुक एट माई जर्नी, मैं बनारस में पैदा हुआ, 2 प्रोफेसर्स का बेटा। मैं अपने बच्चों को बोलता हूँ कि हम हाई स्कूल और 12th में खाली गुल्ली डंडा खेलते थे, उसके अलावा हमारे लाइफ में कोई एस्पिरेशन नहीं था। वी यूज्ड टू फॉलो ओनली 2 थिंग्स इन कॉलेज, गुड गर्ल्स एंड व्हाट वी कैन प्ले। तो हमको इसके अलावा लाइफ में कोई एस्पिरेशन नहीं था। सिर्फ बनारसी लोग ऐसे ही होते हैं। उसके बाद आई वर्क इन मिर्ज़ापुर फॉर 8-10 years, देन आई केम टू दिल्ली, प्रैक्टिस लॉ। फिर मुझे समझ में आ गया कि लॉ इज इज लाइक गेम ऑफ क्रिकेट, इसमें आप सक्सीड नहीं कर सकते तो कबड्डी खेलेंगे। देन आई वर्क फॉर ए लार्ज कॉर्पोरेट फॉर 15 years. Manish was my ex-colleague. And in that 15-year journey, I really thoroughly enjoyed the power which I enjoyed, because the owners of that company thought that I'm the dumb person, so they put me in a position and say इसको जो बोलेंगे करता रहेगा। But eventually, ये मिडिल क्लास लोगों का एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है। उनको अगर आप कुछ थमा दो ना, तो उनको लगता है अब हम ही दुनिया जीत के दिखा देंगे। तो अल्टीमेटली मैं बोलता हूँ, हमारे देश में 2 तरह के लोग हैं, एक जो लक्ष्मी से ब्लेस्ड है और एक जो सरस्वती से ब्लेस्ड है। अगर आप सरस्वती से ब्लेस्ड है तो हमारे बनारस में बोलते हैं जाकर दीक्षा मांगो। अगर लक्ष्मी से ब्लेस्ड है तो आप हर सरस्वती वाले को हायर कर सकते हैं। पीपल लाइक ofbusiness आर चेंजिंग दैट स्पेक्ट्रम नाउ, बट इन आवर टाइम हमको तो ये बोला था अच्छा पढ़ो, स्कोर करो, गोल्ड मेडल पाओ, नौकरी पाओ, लाइफ खत्म। फिर अपने बच्चों को भी वही काम करो, उनको पढ़ाओ, फिर उनको नौकरी कराओ और उनकी भी लाइफ खत्म। तो वी आर born in that era. So in 2015, the company which I used to work for, when I stood against them, they literally threw me out after 15 years of service. फिर मेरे को बहुत गुस्सा आई। मैंने कहा मैं दुनिया को दिखाऊंगा। ये थोड़ी होता है कि जिसके पास पैसा है वो he can take us for a ride. And I said अभी मैं because I was coming out of a management buyout process, मुझको लगता था पैसा क्या है, तो कोई भी दे देगा। आदमी में काबिलियत होनी चाहिए, पैसा की क्या बड़ी बात है। तो 2-2.5 साल मैंने स्ट्रगल किया। I didn't had money. I used to travel by train to Bombay, and then I realized that people who used to wait in my room for number of meetings, I used to wait for them for hours and hours. बट फाइनली वो हम बोलते हैं जिसके पास पैसा नहीं होता ना, उसके पास बहुत ज़्यादा शिद्दत होती है। जब ज़्यादा शिद्दत होती है तो कायनात आपके साथ आती है। तो 121 पिचेस करने के बाद ऑन माई पर्सनल कैपिटल ऑफ अराउंड 15 odd crore, आई रेज 1000 crore ऑफ कैपिटल इन वन गो एंड बिकेम फर्स्ट लिस्टेड स्टार्टअप। बट भगवान जी कहते हैं ना, वो अच्छे कर्म का फल और अच्छा कर्म या और बुरा कर्म होता है। यू शुड डू गुड वर्क, द ओनली रिवॉर्ड ऑफ दैट इज मोर वर्क। I raised capital, we capitalized the company on 4 July 2015, and सितंबर में ILFS हो गया, फिर DHFL हो गया, फिर येस बैंक हो गया। तो ऐसा लगता था 1000 करोड़ नहीं 10 करोड़ की कैपिटल रेज की है। फिर हमने कहा ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, अभी नहीं कुछ होता तो क्या होता है। बट अल्टीमेटली द परसिवरेंस कंटिन्यू टू पेड ऑफ, एंड दिस इज एन स्ट्रगल व्हिच इज एन एवरीडे स्ट्रगल. It is not just me, it is my team. Some of my colleagues are sitting over here, and sometimes I feel very bad. Why they have to work for me? They can go and work for a large corporate where all of this struggle is not there. Colleagues of SBI, we were signing with the co-lending agreement with SBI, and the chairman said, we are very happy that we have been able to come to such a quick arrangement and we have signed this agreement. तो I told him, सर बहुत बिल्कुल आप ठीक कह रहे हैं, एक्चुअली इसका सारा क्रेडिट ना आपके सिक्योरिटी गार्ड को जाता है. बोले व्हाट इज दैट? मैंने कहा सर आपका सिक्योरिटी गार्ड आजमगढ़ का है, मैं बनारस का हूँ, तो आपके जब एजीएम मेरे को 2-2 घंटे नीचे वेट कराते हैं ना, तो ही इज माई बेस्ट फ्रेंड. तो जो मॉरल सपोर्ट मुझको उससे मिलता है, उससे ज़्यादा कहीं से मिलता ही नहीं है. तो मैं 2-2 घंटे नीचे एसबीआई के ऑफिस में बैठ के उससे गप लगाता हूँ, उसका घर का हालचाल पूछता हूँ. तो ओला उबर के ड्राइवर वो सब यूपी से आते हैं, प्लस ये सिक्योरिटी गार्ड एट एसबीआई, दे आर द मॉरल सपोर्ट. बट अल्टीमेटली, एंड दिस आई कीप सेइंग फॉर ऑल स्मॉल बिजनेसेस, पीपल विद नो कैपिटल, capital finally is commoditized, and for good business with great perseverance and conviction and commitment, it will come to you. You have to be at it. So our journey and our struggle and our success is not one point on one pivotal moment. It continues every day. We sometimes take joy in getting the success, and sometimes we feel very sad, but every time the joy of the success is far greater than the sadness which comes, and that drives us. And I am 100% convinced that we would create India's largest small business financing company, and I have no doubt about it.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Shachindra. But मुझे आपको ये पूछना है यहाँ पे कि any experience that you have had in your journey which made you think, stop in that moment and think, जो मैं कर रहा हूँ वो सही कर रहा हूँ?
Not really. Actually, if you look at, and I'll tell you the reason for that. My dad was an Oxford scholar. He was doctorate from Oxford. He was postgrad from US. मेरे को खाली उन्होंने बनारस में पढ़ाया, पता नहीं क्यों. But and he was a professor. And every day in my previous company, when I was the group CEO, I used to make a lot of money. Every time he used to come and say, तुमको ये large corporate वाले बिला वजह पैसे देते हैं, क्योंकि तुम कुछ भी अच्छा काम नहीं करते हो, खाली लोगों पे चिल्ला रहे होते हो. No, intellectually you are so poor. You have not, supervised any doctorate. You have not done any good thing. Nobody would follow. And I can tell you, when he passed away, we went back to Banaras. I flown it around 4 o'clock, and I went to the ghat. There were 1,000 people waiting for his cremation. When I came back home, I told my wife, मैं मरूंगा तो मेरा secretary भी सोचेगा कि जाए कि नहीं जाए, अभी तो मर ही गया आदमी. And then I realized that you can do anything and everything. If you don't do a business or an activity or a profession with purpose, then there is no point of in life. No amount of money can give you the joy unless you have a purpose behind it. So I think the purpose behind enabling millions of small businesses in India who have been credit starved, largely because of them, and we'll talk about it, is what makes us continuously go after it. And that's the journey.
Right. Thank you so much. That's very inspiring. Coming to you, Nitin, if we talk about your early days in the business, any business is defined by the challenges that the business overcomes and the triumphs that it achieves post that. Any challenges from your early days that you remember that helped you shape of business the way it is today?
Yeah. So एक challenge नहीं, I think multiple challenges रहे हैं. So we've undergone literal transformations. So whatever just before the company got incorporated, so all 5 of us were sitting in the room and whiteboard पे हम कर रहे थे कि ये हम करेंगे, online डालेंगे, ये सब कुछ automatically बिक जाएगा. After 9 months, nothing transpired from what we wrote on the whiteboard, right? So every single day was a challenge, right? Every single day हम SMEs से जाके मिलने जाते थे, तो SMEs बोलते थे, यार तुम 30 साल के बच्चे, हम 20 साल धंधा करने वालों को क्या सिखाओगे? You can't bring any value to us. तुम क्या बताओगे कि जो ऑलरेडी हम धंधा कर रहे हैं 20 साल से, तुम हमें क्या स्टील बेचोगे, right? So you just entered into the industry. We started off with steel. So that was the first challenge. Second challenge was going to the supplier. And if you go to a sale, like sir said, वो हमें 4 घंटे 5 घंटे ऑफिस के बाहर बिठाए रखते थे, और फिर मीटिंग कैसे मिलती थी? The junior most person in the organization, right? So the general manager was like, मैं क्या मिलने का फायदा है? नौजवान बच्चे हैं, ऐसी जोश लेके आ गए, इनके बस की कुछ भी नहीं है, right? This is 2015-ish that I'm talking about. So that was the second challenge. So the third challenge, actually, which was the most important challenge, is that ठीक है, हमने revenue कर लिया. So first, after 4-5 months, per month revenue was close to about 16-18 crores के आसपास था. But that the biggest challenge was figuring out why do we exist, right? That figuring out the why, that हम क्यों कर रहे हैं जो कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ स्टील बेचने के लिए कर रहे हैं क्या? मतलब we are going to businesses and we are telling them, यार आप हमसे steel खरीदो, हम आपको अच्छा rate लाके देंगे.
Yeah.
Like, why do we exist? So that figuring out the why and then combining commerce with finance and then sitting in the sweet middle and sort of combining the goods of the banks and the financial institutions and the goods of the distributors, bringing them into the nice middle. You know, that figuring out of the why was the biggest challenge. And once that journey from, you know, selling initially to figuring out the why was the most difficult. After we figured out the why, it became a lot easier, right? So that figuring out of the why was the most important thing that I think we had to go through.
Like Shachindra said, right? The purpose. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so see, many of the SMEs also I keep speaking to, right? So the problem that they have is that they don't know why they exist, right? वो किसी Honda के लिए काम कर रहे होते हैं, Maruti के लिए काम कर रहे होते हैं. They really don't have a purpose in life, except for just saying that मेरे को अगला order Maruti का जीतना है. So that's why. So they don't have a real purpose. So that's why they're not able to, you know, grow very, very big. So our next step is educating them about, you know, getting everything right, getting everything in order, and figuring out your real purpose so that they can grow much faster and better. I think that's my personal mission, to help them grow. And I think this Nirmaan platform is going to be a fantastic platform to just you know, help out as much as we can to the SME ecosystem.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Now, Sandip, you know, drawing from your experiences, you have overseen the expansion of your platform into global markets, which is daunting for most small businesses, right? So, any simple advice for small businesses who are planning to venture into global markets?
Yeah, so I think for small businesses, this is the biggest challenge, right? If they want to go to overseas market, they don't know how to go forward, right? So a lot of suggestions here, but let me start with first. You know, digital transformation is very important today. You know, we also face the same challenges when we used to educate our SMBs. You know, today that hey, you have to be digital because first line of business is digital today, because the power of that small device which is on the hand is where the whole journey starts for the buyer, right? Yeah. But it was very difficult. Thanks to pandemic, they understood. We don't have to push now. They understood and they come back to us. Okay. First is of course digital. You need to have a website with, you know, which is clear there, you know, so that the exporters can see, you know, importers can see their product online. First is that. Second is of course, you know, not only digital transformation, but how you need to research, you know, what kind of product they want to see in terms of the product fit in terms of that market. So I'll give you example of handicraft per se. You know, so handicraft is very popular in US, Europe, and Australia. Okay. So it's a very apt market for handicraft in these countries. But what kind of product is there? What kind of certifications is required? What kind of, you know, local legal compliances are there? So they should understand that first. And once you do that, then you focus on the brand building and the marketing side of it. Because what they do is they do reverse of it. You know, what they do is they first market their product and they get the requirements, and then they start working on it. And then when they do that, they get lot of rejection from the product sampling and all. So that's just the third part. Then fourth important, you know, is, you know, the supply chain part of it, right? You know, how can you integrate, because there is a lot of technologies today from the supply chain perspective. Can you have the right shipping partner in place who understands technology, who can give you a lot of insights from the data perspective? You can track the orders. In fact, there are technology companies or the shipping companies who can help you become local. You know, they can store your products there in their country, help give you, you know, the more better customer experience. So the whole ecosystem has changed in last 10 years or so. And finally, the payment is one of the most important factor when you go to exports. Like to try to partner with technology enabled, I think Nirmaan must have worked on it. There are partners like Payoneer per se, Payoneer who helps in payment collections. You don't have to do anything. You can have your local account in those countries and get the payment seamlessly without doing anything, right? And also taking care of the compliance part of it, just using technology. Just create an account there, you are done, right? So use these technologies, I think. And then this will help you when you look at export as a market.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes. Just add on to what Sandip was saying. See, I don't think it's a choice anymore. Okay.
Right.
Each one of us has to be globally competitive, and I think it's not a matter of growth; it's a matter of survival.
Yeah.
Overseas competition has come to India, right? So if an Indian entrepreneur is thinking of only India as a playground, I think we are actually doing a big disservice to our own business by making it self-limiting. The second aspect I feel is that we should not start with a perception that the outside entrepreneurs are better than us. Okay, for us, the biggest learning when we set up our US operations about 5.5 years back is that the quality of Indian talent, enterprise innovation is probably the best in the world, right? So I think before we even get into any of the how, I think it really starts with what's in the mind. I think it's very important for Indian entrepreneurs to approach the world with confidence and the self-belief that we are not smaller than anyone from any part of the world. I mean, the idea is not to become arrogant, but equally, let's not again put any self-limiting factors in our own mind before we start the journey.
Right. So would you say that we need a change of mindset?
It is. I personally feel that a lot of things that are sometimes presented to us in a variety of things, whether it's in media or otherwise. For example, if you look at the entire digitization wave, it doesn't necessarily need to be seen as a threat. I also see it as a big opportunity. Right. The same thing even with global competition. It's not necessarily a threat. I think it's a big opportunity. Like we were forced to pivot our own model. We were primarily a services company. We were forced to become a solutions company because we realized that the cost of hiring and retaining people, which is also a discussion that happened in the previous panel, has just gone through the roof. So, and our clients can recruit the same quality of talent in the same market that we are active in. So, what is the differentiation, right? So, unless you really embrace technology and you make it part of a composite solution that you're taking to the clients in order to value add, you really can't survive, right? So, I think at the end of the day, it's a question of how you see it. Either you can see it as a threat or you see it as an opportunity. I think the entrepreneurs who are able to seize the opportunity are more likely to succeed as compared to those that don't. Those that don't, I think they will have to change, but the change will be forced upon them, right? So you've got an opportunity of embracing change when you do it at your own terms, or you're forced to embrace change when you can't negotiate with it.
Correct, right. That's a very good point. But I want to ask you here is that you help a lot of clients pivot, right? So, in your experience of client interactions, what would you say are some of the strategies that have worked successfully for your clients under your guidance?
So I don't think there's a single answer to this. So I'll probably give you a few examples of what people have done, right? So we work with a pain rehabilitation company. They make devices. They sell through a traditional distribution channel. It kind of goes through a distributor, dealer, etc. The difference between the MRP a customer pays and what my client is able to kind of sell to the distributor is about 50%, right? So if you pay 100 rupees, typically the company is kind of selling it to the distributor at 50, right? So it's a huge margin there, distribution channel margin. So they took a decision about 3 years back to go digital. They came up with their own website. They come up with their own branding. They are trying to do a direct to consumer. That business is yet to make money, right? But today, about 8% of that company's revenue is coming through their own online channels as compared to the traditional distribution channel, right? So I think it's an example of how the company has tried to do something on the channel side. Equally, we've got companies who are trying to do something different, say on the product side. Like for example, we have a paper manufacturer. It's a highly competitive business, right? Where the margins are wafer thin. So they decided to kind of go into compostable packaging business, right? It's a related line of business, but they're kind of hooked on to the sustainability theme, right? Now that has actually opened doors for them internationally. So sometimes, these growth strategies, the pivots that, as you say, it could be happening, let's say, on the product offering side, it could happen on the channel management side, it could happen on the people side, it could be the mode of delivery, maybe you're kind of making it digital. This kind of works differently for different clients.
Right. Any example of pivot that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I think some of these are examples, right, of pivots. I mean, we have had a chance to actually work with some really interesting entrepreneurs, right? So if you look at, say, somebody like Ashish Jamkhanwala, all this is in public domain. I mean, his company Sami went public. I mean, we helped them out as a CFO probably about 10, 12 years back. Someone like, say, Sunil Chari of Rosary Biotech. In fact, his office is not very far away from here. He's in Kajurmarg. When we first started working with him, it was probably a sub 100 crore company. Today, the company's valuation had touched $1 billion at a certain point in time. I remember, in fact, going to Mr. Shachindra's office. I think it was called Chukhani Securities. Maybe about 8-10 years back. It's a small office in 5 years back. So, and then he was very gracious. I know that the SBI guard made him wait, but he didn't make me wait. I mean, he gave me an appointment immediately. But it is a very small start, right? I mean, 10 years back, off business did not even exist, right? So they always say, right, that for two people, you should not ask what is the source. One is of a river, second is of a sage. The same thing also holds good of successful businesses. I mean, if you look at the way they have started, they all started very small. It's a little bit like what Nitin was saying, right? You have a whiteboard, you start to write everything and nothing goes to plan in 9 months' time. But you keep pivoting. I think what looks on the outside like a very well-planned journey, we should talk to the entrepreneur. Only the entrepreneur knows how many mistakes he or she has made.
Yeah.
They may or may not publicly admit it, but I'm yet to see an entrepreneur who hasn't made a mistake. A smart entrepreneur is the one who recognizes that a mistake has been done and works quickly to correct it. I think business's
Right.
action is needed to pivot.
Right, wonderfully put. Now, while we have spoken about some of the stakeholders of this ecosystem, I think one key stakeholder is the team, right? Any company's success depends on a very robust team. So, Shachindra, coming to you, could you share some experiences of challenges that you have had while building your team at YourStory Capital?
Yes, it is really challenging. It is really challenging for two accounts because actually the financial services professionals, the talent pool, in India have worked for 2-3 types of places. They work for banks, especially in lending and credit business. Actually, I've never worked for lending, so my understanding for lending is very, very limited. It's though I run lending business. So they have worked for banks. They have worked for large NBFCs. The challenge and the problem is the kind of rigor or the stress which you have to take to build an independent business is completely different.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you take example of a partner which is Godrej Capital, now Godrej Capital has, the team here has very serious obligation to their parentage that they cannot, do anything wrong because ultimately the liability will fall upon Godrej brand and they cannot falter into the market because they have such a wide ecosystem. And that sometimes makes them cautious as well. And they can do scale, but they will do scale at a gradual step. Versus a similar set of people, the people who run our businesses versus people who run Godrej Capital business or Aditya Birla or Tata Capital, this is the same talent pool who has worked more or less in the same banking fraternity. For them to come out from there, be in an independent business, and then work harder and get closer to their customer need, and I call it dial themselves down to that ground level and work closely with them and solve for them is really challenging.
Right.
And not many people can survive that. Sometimes they feel,
Absolutely.
why should we do this?
Yeah.
And why should not we take more, easy route out and work for the places where there is a cost of capital advantage, there is everything, and you have to do your business.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, if you want to build a name for yourself, wealth is an outcome of building the name. And if you really want your children to look up to you that you have built something, then the place is here.
Yeah.
While the initial journey would be much harder. Because this is the way at one point in time HDFC was, this is the way many small finance banks were. So managing their talent pool expectation and saying you have to work harder, you have to collaborate further, and you have to try to solve the bottom of the pyramid problem, and you have to stay on here.
Yeah.
Not really great any financial incentive is a really challenging task. Every day you have to
Right.
step up and you have to remind them you are here for better cause and you are here for the purpose. I think that's where we are.
Absolutely, and I think the challenge is also to build a team that shares your vision.
I don't have any vision. It is the team vision which drives me. I think in financial services industry this is also one of the big problem. हम लोग ना या तो भगवान की मूर्ति की पूजा करते हैं या किसी आदमी की पूजा करते हैं. In our industry, all of the big financial services companies are driven by one person persona. And we all think because of that one person, the institution will get built. But that's completely wrong. So I don't want to name, but almost all of the large banks, there is one big name associated with that. And that's why the risk is that when that name goes out, you see this halchal for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I am only a sutradhar whose job is to come to places like this and narrate a story.
Yeah.
It is the shared vision of the team to solve for credit problem of small businesses in India, which drives me. I don't have any independent vision of myself.
Beautiful. Nitin, do you have something to add to this?
Yeah, so I completely echo the vision that it cannot a business, a new age business, especially cannot be people dependent, right?
Yeah.
So if you have like a people dependent business, it's probably going to get you somewhere, but it's not going to get you to the top.
Yeah.
So I think the businesses now that are being developed are more process dependent, more non-leadership or non-founder dependent. I think it's more important to do that. And the team, I completely agree. It's a collective vision of the team which actually makes a difference rather than the vision of the founder, etc. So
Yeah.
the team the team is extremely important, and the team should the collective vision of the team is something that is extremely important. I think how we built our team initially was we hired young guns who had no experience in the sector that we operate in, and we really gave them a canvas. So that actually worked well for us. That's how we build the team up, and then now they're building the same team underneath, and they're taking it forward. So for us, that has been the recipe for success, and it can be different for different companies, and that's just how something may work for you, something may not work for someone else. Like for example, we hired a lot of industry people that actually did not work for us, right? Because we saw a lot of baggage that they came with, a lot of preconceived notions that they came with. For us, what really worked was hiring these freshers out of MBA colleges and letting them go and do their thing, and they came back with insights that were just unbelievable, right? So that's how we built the team together. That's how we got the team together, and that bonding actually has become very strong, because then what happens is that bonding is like hostel plus bonding, right? So you just out of college, and that bonding then remains for a long time.
Absolutely.
Right? Rather than bonding created at, let's say, 50 years old will not be as strong as bonding created at, let's say, when you're in college, right? So our bonding is just college plus bonding, and that's really worked very well for us.
I just want to add one
what
thing,
Nitin said,
Nitin.
I think, and when Chandra said, it ultimately team wins,
Yeah.
What we in an organization have tried in doing it, we call it a CEO as a service. Okay. Not CEO as a service is we have given all the stakeholders that liberty to take decisions and accountability like a CEO. So I don't have to think at all, So when they take an accountability like a CEO, your company runs and you go faster. Just wanted to add,
I just want a quick story. Nitin would not know it. It was end of 2018. Ruchi actually came to my office in Gurgaon. I had a small 550 square foot office. Only claim to fame was we have already raised capital, and of business, lending business was about to build. As soon as she went out, she was a young, energetic consultant, and I really got impressed. I called of my then chief risk officer, saying, "ये बहुत अच्छा करने वाले, मुझको लगता है ना, we should partner with them, we should learn from them, and first we should lend to them." We had a program of lending to a small NBFC. And हमारे CRO साहब ने बोला, सर ऐसे बहुत सारे ये यंग लोग आते जाते रहते हैं और इनको कुछ पता नहीं है, हमने देखा हुआ है क्रेडिट में क्या होता है। अरे मैंने कहा भाई मान जाओ, एटलीस्ट मैं कह रहा हूँ, मुझे लगता है कि होगा। Ultimately, after very long persuasion, we finally ended up giving only 3 crore of loan. That CRO doesn't exist in our organization because he was unwilling to unlearn what he has learned of 25 years, right? But the fact is today, off business can actually lend to us. The size it has grown. So this is one of the problem of managing talent. Markets are changing on a very
I actually did not know that story.
Yes, so you should ask Ruchi actually. Market change, the dynamic change at such a fast pace, and we continue to live in old ways of doing how we have to do. And this is one of the biggest challenge in our industry to make.
Just to add to the point, I think if you build a team culture which is really willing to learn and unlearn at the same time, that's very important, because you need the team to be very nimble. Like for example, एक साल पहले I would say that एक साल पहले ही AI प्रकट हुआ है दुनिया के अंदर, right? So उससे पहले virtually did not exist, right? People did not care about machine learning, AI and all that. चलता है, वो कुछ करते रहते हैं, normal technology करते रहते हैं, उसको AI ML कहते हैं. But now it's actually come forward. So the team which is really nimble will adopt this and really take it forward. So building that right team with the right mindset of being nimble and innovative, actually. So for us, young teams we've observed really have that mindset, right? People with non-industry experience have that mindset, and that's been sort of our way of doing things.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thank you so much for sharing the story for the first time on this platform, which even Nitin wasn't aware of. So thank you for that. Very interesting. Now we still have some time, so I'm going to have, I would like quick takes from all of you about 3 things that you think are important for are key to small businesses growth and resilience. We'll start with you, Nitin.
Yeah, so I'll actually point out to 2 things which I think are extremely important for SMEs. One, SMEs should diversify the number of clients that they have. I have seen many SMEs just concentrated on 1 or 2 clients, maximum 5 clients, and that's a recipe for disaster. COVID actually taught them that, and we have now been really after them to diversify the client base. We are helping them out. I think that's one very important thing. The second most important thing is काले का धंधा बंद होना चाहिए, right? The SMEs that have realized this are growing at a very good pace, but the SMEs that have not realized this, they still think that they can make a fast buck by doing this black wala business, are getting left far behind, right? They're not able to get new access to capital, they're not able to grow, they're not able to do an SME IPO, they're not able to really grow beyond the 5% year-on-year mark, and that also is sort of, and most of them end up just dying. So I think these are the two most important things that will really make them resilient and really help them grow and achieve newer heights.
Right. Thank you, Nitin. Sandip?
We talked a lot about this in last panel also. I think there are three things which I would like to share. One is, they should have access to market, right? And platform like Trade India or Amazon or all these companies are helping them, to explore this new market, out of the boundary. Second is, of course, access to technology, right? When I say access to technology, Nirmaan is one of it, right? Opportunity, one initiative which Godrej Capital has taken. It's a very good initiative. I also take this opportunity to, on this forum, if anybody is ready to partner with Trade India also, we are also building a product called Office in a Box. Office in a Box is a similar product, but happy to partner with Nirmaan, to help this SMEs, similar vision there to how, technology can enable SMEs to grow faster. That's one big challenge, and if they can adopt it, it's is a great way to do that. And third, of course, access to capital, which we all discussed in the last session, that how we can empower SMEs with financial, muscle there.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. Venkat, your take.
So I'll possibly restrict myself to two.
Yeah.
I think first question is, as an entrepreneur, how do you kind of view your role? I mean, are you viewing your role as a owner? Which I don't think is the right way to view it. I think you got to view your role as a trustee and view your role as a student. Okay, so the point that I think all the panelists have made about learning and learning pretty much kind of starts with the entrepreneur himself or herself. The second point I want to make, and this is definitely a cliche, but I think it should be repeated, that don't chase revenue, don't chase profit unless it converts into cash, right? Cash is king. As long as you're converting your profits into cash, you will have slow years, fast years, but stay focused and eventually you get there. Only one exception to the rule, that if you are a wannabe unicorn and you've got a VC backing you, then probably we can afford to have cash profits.
Right. Shachindra, your last word.
First and foremost, I wanted to congratulate Manish. I think so. The peer set of Godrej Capital, and Godrej being younger one, none of them think what need to be done beyond their customer. They are all people are driven only by financial engineering, making more money, increasing ROA. That is the basic outcome. But somebody can think and use their brand and power of capital and collaboration. It can immensely benefit. We are already a partner. The number of 130,000 MSME customer, if we can bring on fold into Nirmaan and collaborate with multiple stakeholders, it would benefit the overall MSME economy. Because sometimes we feel we have to do it, but we are beggar for life. We go and beg money from the bank, then we lend to customers, and then we beg them to pay us back. So we are beggar for life to some extent. But this bigger purpose and what Nirmaan can do for the ecosystem, and that would benefit all of us, at least the lender. Because if the customer is strong, has more strength, he learns that kacha bura hai, pakka acha hai, then all of this would start happening. So I think so. Thank you so much for doing this and taking this initiative. It is very hard to work in a large corporate and think beyond numbers and do something which has a purpose. So congratulations.
Right. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here today and being a true inspiration for us all, against all odds, I must say.